Powering it. We are good.
Hey everybody, welcome to AK Geeks. This is the group movie of the week. With me I have here, this is the gruesome twosome. It's Lynn.
It seems to be going that way for the last couple of movie of the weeks. What's up, everybody?
And myself, of course, I'm John. I'm your host for today. We're going to give you our thoughts and opinions on the movie MindHorn. This is a Netflix original film. Let me give you a little bit about the film. A has-been actor best known for playing the title character in the 1980s detective series MindHorn must work with the police when a serial killer says that he will only speak with Detective MindHorn, whom he believes to be a real person. This was directed by Sean Foley. Writers are Julian Barat, did the screenplay, worked with Simon Farnaby for the screenplay. Some notable starring figures in this are Steve Coogan. He's in quite a bit of American comedies as the stereotypical British dude a lot of the time. And Essie Davis is in this, which she was just in season 6 of Game of Thrones. She was the actress. And other than those two, I didn't...
Yeah, I was going to say, not a lot of people we're familiar with, as far as... You know.
But I think the writer, Simon Farnaby, is also Clive, the body double. So there's that. Lynn, this was your choice. Let me know. Give me some pauses. What'd you like about this film?
It was definitely a lot funnier than I thought it would be. There were... I had trepidations about choosing this because I thought we were gonna tear this apart, but luckily there was enough British crass and humor to it that it just carried and the characters are so off the wall that I enjoyed it.
There was something about this one, comparing it to the last. So, movie of the week. This is the third movie of the week where it's been a Netflix original. And the other one was War Machine, and then Okja for myself, and then this one. Now, when you look at those other two and you compare them to this one is bad, but in a good way.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
bad in a good way, while the other two had major issues that almost ruined the film, or in my case with Okja, ruined the film, and War Machine made the thing super hard to watch.
This is the epitome of a campy film. So you have to, and that's what makes it bad but good. So it was definitely campy, and which I appreciate that because I have no problem with camp. But to be fair, MindHorn is a total asshole.
Julian Barat. Okay, so Julian Barat, the guy who played MindHorn, is also the other writer. So him and Clive, they actually both wrote it. He did a good job though as an asshole.
Yeah, because, all right, a little backstory on him for those of you guys watching us. He's a bigger, holier-than-thou actor who left his show to go to Hollywood, and then left his woman, and then his career just tanked right after that. So, and the fact that here's this can't really call him a serial killer, this killer who wants MindHorn to come. Because he's fucked up in the head.
The supposed killer, or alleged killer.
Supposed killer.
And he calls himself the Kestrel. And he's all jacked up because his parents... and he does a weird bird sound. Like a bird...
Well, he does the Kestrel.
Yeah, no, I know that, but it's like... It sounds like the bird's dying.
Yeah.
It's like, every time I heard him say it... And there was one point when he does it, and you see MindHorn's like, shut up, they're coming, or whatever. I think when they're going in the tunnel, he goes... He goes, shh.
Can I say the dynamic between the two of them was hysterical? Because Kestrel alone, because of course he actually loved MindHorn, and he saw him as a real person because he's the last thing that relates to his parents dying and him being left alone, so he gravitated to MindHorn.
He was watching MindHorn when his parents were both killed. I forget how they died, a car accident or something.
Something along that lines. It wasn't nothing, too out there, but it was just
if it was,
he was left alone.
Enough. See, I mean, it would have been better if it was like a weird out there, because it would have fit better. I can't even remember how they died right now, but if it was like some weird off the wall, like they died while
it would have been better if they would have died in the parade that they have towards the end of the movie, that little shitty parade. Because that would have made that would have made
something
more
that
sense.
would have been off the wall. I think would have enhanced that comedic element more. But you're like it was funnier than you thought it was going to be. It added there was a good dynamic between Kestrel and Mindhorn. It was like I was saying, it's a bad, cheesy, campy thing, but it makes it good, you know. And what I liked about this is I didn't see any bad acting in this film. Like all the lines were delivered pretty like right on cue, right with the right persona or the fluctuation in tone or whatever the case is. They were all done pretty well, especially Mindhorn. I mean, obviously he's the writer, so he knew what he was thinking when he wrote it. But yeah, he did a really good job with that. Clive, what did you think about Clive?
Clive is hysterical.
I love Clive
because when you first see him, he was trying to make himself be like the star of the show, even though he's the stunt double. He was telling the actor what to do, and he was like, "No, I'm not having it." And he's trying to, of course, the whole thing with the kiss. He's like, "I think I know how to kiss a woman." But Clive, and then towards the end when he's in the little short shorts, I'm like, man, this dude's there's got to be something more to him because he's just like too fucked up in the head. There's not someone who doesn't give you that thought, though, as far as characters. Everyone's got a little bit something wrong with them, except for, like, Patricia. Patricia's the only one that came off a little normal.
But even then, she has issues. Like, but they're normal issues. They're like, I can't get over my ex.
But they're issues. Yeah, but they're issues because of Mindhorn being an asshole. So it all comes from him. Her issues are just him.
So she, after Mindhorn left her for Hollywood, she started being a floozy. And there was a line in there, I forgot what the exact words were, but the guy said, oh, she started giving that out like it was, what is she, you couldn't not get it, or whatever they said. I forgot what it was, but it was really funny when they would talk about how she became a whore.
I think that came from Peter Easterman, who plays Windhammer, who's another who blew up in his local area, you know, and is big stars with multiple biographies. Like, who the fuck?
7 biographies.
He was on his third. I think he was on his third one. No, it was on the 8th one at the end of the film. But when Mindhorn was complaining about it, he was talking about 3. So I'm like, that motherfucker thinks too much of himself.
But it was working though. It was working, and that's why it was like, okay, that's stupid, but it's kind of funny because they did it. And the thing is, like, what they've done with these Netflix films is they've shot them with quality cameras, or at least they don't look like they're low budget just by filming. You know, there was a special effects scene in the film that was super super cheesy. But I loved it because this film feels like the British side of it, but it also feels like this is like it's not a current day like film. It feels like it's a little bit in the past.
Yeah, even though it's set at the beginning, it's set in 85, I think it was 83, 85, one of those 2 years, and then we go 20 years later, so it's in 2000 something.
And it still feels like an 80s, late 80s, early 90s film.
Because I think it was because of the atmosphere of where the show took place. They never advanced forward. Yeah. So that's what. So it was more about how the background.
So when they did that special effects, when he's doing his Jenga and his capoeira, and the way that the camera did the special effects at the end, and he does his little half-ass kick where he can't get his leg above his waist. Like, I thought that was, like, the funniest thing in the world because it was actually, like, it fit everything else the movie did.
And what made it work is that it took so long for him to get from that one set. And I said, this is going to take another 30 minutes of the film, just him trying to get from the point where he was to where she was. But it didn't take that long, mind you. But it gave you the impression that it was going to because of how slow everything was going.
Yeah, we're going to come back to this, but did you have any negatives about the film? Anything that you thought they could have improved upon?
One thing, and it had to do with the story element. When you find out that Kestrel was just basically a lamb set up to take the fall, they didn't really go into too much detail about the mayor his real reasons behind it, what, you know, the real purpose behind all that, and it just sort of fell flat. Like, okay, I understood why his niece was doing what she was doing, because family. Yeah. She states it. That was plain as day. She was covered with that sentence alone. But no real purpose for him.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. That was the biggest thing for me about the film, was the villain that was behind everything, which is the mayor. And it's like they don't give you a rhyme nor reason for why he's doing what he's doing, and no backstory. He's he's a facade of a character, and
he's just like a figurehead. And that's it.
Yeah, it's just a placeholder for villain, and it could have been anybody. It didn't even have to be the mayor. That, you know, like, you think that they would add something connected to the town, like he's doing this because he's got the town on his pocketbook,
on lockdown, and try to make money from a corporation to make the town something larger or what have you. None of that came across.
Yeah, so I agree with you wholeheartedly that the villain that's behind the overarching villain was very lackadaisically made, or wasn't thought through thoroughly enough. But to counter that, what they did spend a lot of time doing throughout the film was focusing on MindHorn, and where he started the film at, not in the 80s back when he was a star, but from when he started the film, where he's, you know, putting on his Spanx and whatnot.
When he's still thinking it's a job, an acting gig.
And then he goes from that point to the end of the movie to realize his follies in life, and I think that's what they focused on the most. So it depends on what you want, which I wanted to understand why this villain is doing what they're doing, which they didn't do. So to me, that's like a bit of a downfall.
Yeah, I just wish there was a sole purpose for him to be doing this. It made sense for the focus to be on MindHorn and his gradual change, and the focus to remain on him and how other people around him see him and see that difference. That's fine, but it's just like, it just drops off when it comes to anything revolving around the plot that puts him there being so lackluster.
Yeah, and then there's other things that that happen in the film that, like with Kestrel, there was one thing I was a little annoyed by it, was when they said, you said always make a backup. Make a copy. And I was like, oh, cool, maybe something's actually going to work out. And then maybe if, like, let's say it doesn't work out, like it gets stolen, like the copy gets stolen, at least there was a copy. But no, he does it on that whatever cellophane, whatever he called it.
It was plasticine, which is clay. It's just like a clay or you know.
He literally made a copy.
Which I thought that was hysterical. I thought the exact same thing as you.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, good. They got proof. They don't have to worry about shit. And then when it turned around, it's just more plasticine. I fucking choked, because it goes back to when they showed plasticine earlier with the gun, and I was like, oh my god, it was that small twist. It's like, we got you. It's not real.
I was a little annoyed by that. I'm not gonna say, because I figured at that point I was like, all right, well, I should have expected that. I was a little annoyed by it because I hate it when something like that happens in a movie where they could easily they can easily solve an issue, but they choose to make it more difficult in the film than what it should be in real life. So I get annoyed with that sometimes, and that's not just this movie. That's like with a lot of movies. So I felt like, oh shoot, but then I was okay. Like, all right, let's keep going with the movie. The movie's only an hour and a half long. I was like, all right, so the next thing is going to happen right away, and they're able to figure out a way to get around that copy. Overall, like, what do you like about this film? Do you want to see more of this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I actually do. Just because, for one, I love British comedy, first of all. I grew up on Monty Python and Benny Hill. So if I could see more British comedies along that lightheartedness, like MindHorn, because even though there is some dark elements to it, overall, it's just campy.
Yeah.
And you don't get a lot of that nowadays, even from comedians here in the States. You know, I don't think movie producers care to do this slapstick comedy that's coming across, because that MindHorn, there are some stunts and what have you. Yeah, there's some slapstick stuff. And they're goofball stuff, so it's nothing to be taken seriously.
Punches a woman.
So I would like to And then he's apologizing. He's like, I'm sorry.
I
was trying to get someone else. Like, no, duh. And that's another element that I wish they would have shown towards the end, besides just a book. He signed away to do the DVD things, the first 3 volumes, but he could have gotten screwed.
Yeah.
You know, because the only reason why Easterman would want him is so he could put out a box set of Windhammer stuff pertaining to. That's how I thought.
It builds Windhammer's profile.
Yeah, so I said, please read the contract, and he's just
I know. That's another thing. I was like, oh, dude, they're gonna. I was thinking later on this is gonna come back to screw him out of a lot of money.
That's what I thought.
But they didn't really talk about it. They just
no, they dropped it.
No, but I liked what Steve Coogan, his character Windhammer, he's doing the interview with the lady. Oh, I'm very sad. You should probably stop recording because I think I'm gonna cry here in a couple minutes. It's so weird that this is happening on the same day that the DVD volumes 1 through 3 of MindHorn are released today. And I was like, oh, that's freaking good right there.
I did like how they cleaned up what happens to everybody at the end with the little one blob.
The pictures.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I thought that was very genius. It was like, here, this is their closing, this is their ending. Each individual.
Yeah, it's a nice little prologue, a useful prologue to close out all these stories and these lines that were kind of left open. Because to be honest with you, it was nice and helpful, but I wouldn't have been mad at the movie if they didn't have them.
No, but it was just a nice.
It was a really nice touch. Let's see. I like the stuff between Clive and MindHorn. When they're at the house, specifically like in the garage, and he's stuck in his taped up, glued on hair, taped up suit, and they're just arguing, and then his basket full of porn falls, and then the
fat women.
Yeah, and then and yeah, so
they were all fat women.
I thought those letters were gonna be worse. I thought those letters were gonna be from because he goes, oh, they're from my pen pal, and I was like, oh, they're from his like lover or something, you know? He's actually getting in.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought maybe he was corresponding with one of the fat ladies in the magazine.
I thought he was like getting
but I think that's what I like about this movie more. It makes you think one way that this is going to happen, and it actually turns out to be something that you should have expected. But because of the story, it makes you divert to something.
They did that multiple times in the film.
Yeah, which I thought was hysterical. It kept you thinking, and it kept you fresh in the movie, because the fact that it should have always been the letters that he wrote to her. You're thinking, oh, you know, he's screwing around, and this is his fat chick, because that's how I saw it. Clive was hysterical. And his innuendos when he's talking about taking her for a ride on a daily, and he's not talking about the car. Me, personally, I would have loved to have seen MindHorn just, like, punch him there. And I don't know why he just did it, you know, stand up for himself. I'm like, you know what, I don't need to take
I thought it was hilarious because it was kind of some comeuppance, you know? Like, because of all the time that, and I think Essie is a jacked up character. Like, she's in love with MindHorn, and it doesn't matter if it's the real MindHorn or the fake stand-in stunt double MindHorn. She's in love with the MindHorn, right? So she's like jacked up in the head. So she's over there with Clive, now hooking up with him and all this and that. So she's alright, and he's always wanted her because he wanted her. And then MindHorn's over there being a dick about it when they're recording the show. It was like you said earlier, like, oh, I know how to kiss a woman. You mean like this? And he does the you know. And so he's finally getting this comeuppance, so he's rubbing it in his face and whatnot. But it falls apart on him because the letters come out. But then Patricia goes back to MindHorn at the end of the film. We find out, and they get married and whatnot. And it's kind of like, damn, she's jacked up in the head if you really think about it.
Well, no, I think that made perfect sense for it to happen, because with them, remember, he's the whole reason why she's fucked up.
Yeah, I know.
And he accepted that, and he realized that everything that happened to him as far as shitty was because of his bad decision to leave her.
What I'm saying, though, is she's so jacked up that even though it wasn't the real MindHorn, it was just a stand-in, she was like okay with living with him and being with him for how many years?
12
Or
at that
yeah,
point? Because that's how
she's
long
over there
he'd been
hooking up
gone.
with him for God knows how long. I don't know if they had a sexual relationship or not, but I'm assuming they lived together, right? So,
Yeah, I don't think they did because the way she acted with him, it looked like
well, I mean,
okay.
he goes, "It's
Because
been a while."
even her daughter, yeah, it's been a while. So I say probably at first they did, and then she just like cut it
Yeah,
off because she saw that there was nothing there, but she just kept the body
because it
there
looks like
to
Mindhorn.
yeah, you know what I mean? Because even
That,
the daughter who would have been in that age range wasn't even his. So, and no other kids after that. So you know they weren't being sexual. As much as Clive was trying to make it seem like it was a daily thing, he was caught out in the line when he was like, "It's been
yeah,
a while."
I do think they,
With the whole
I do think
flowers.
they have, but I mean, maybe it's not
Yeah,
a
I
recurring thing
agree.
like all the time every week. But what I'm saying is though is that she's still jacked up in the head.
Yeah, but now she's mayor, so she got nothing to
Yeah,
worry
she's
about.
mayor. She's got the Mindhorn back. Yeah. So, Lynn, let's go and finish this up. What overall? What do you like about the film, and what do you grade it?
Well, like I said, I love the camp. I love the overall feel. It was a nice. Besides the one little beef that I had with the overall villain, other than that, it was pretty straightforward. It was definitely worth watching. B plus for me, solid B plus. Nothing more I can say on
Yeah,
that.
I agree with you. My downfalls on the film were the villain, and
Hmm.
and that's about it. Other than that, I was okay with what they gave me with quality of dialogue. Acting was good. Story was straightforward to the point. It didn't try to, and even as being as straightforward as it was, it still threw a couple curveballs in there that weren't like out of this world crazy like curveballs, but it still got you like, oh shit,
Yeah,
I would have thought that was gonna happen, but then I didn't, and so it was nice
exactly.
and surprising, even though it was still straightforward. Overall, I'm right below you on that one. I would give it a B. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
definitely recommend this film to friends, especially because it's a Netflix original. It's on Netflix. A lot of people have Netflix. I would definitely recommend to people.
yeah. One question: did you get a feel of like a Hot Fuzz type vibe in it? Because there were certain moments I was like, damn, I feel like I'm watching Hot Fuzz. And it was that interaction between Mindhorn and the police station
Okay.
and the rookie cop and the chief of police there. For some reason, those three characters, when they were interacting, it sort of reminded me of Hot
Well, I
Fuzz.
mean, let's
Like,
if you look at him in certain scenes, he does have a Simon Pegg type of vibe, and he kind of
yeah,
sounds he sounds similar to Simon Pegg to a certain extent. So I get that. I didn't think about it though when I'm watching the film though.
yeah. It just caught me, and it was only like in that interaction at the police station, and what have you, and like when he's picking up the phone and here's this very serious guy, the police commissioner, and then he has to deal with the goof that he's trying to get to solve a crime. Which, in Simon Pegg case, Simon Pegg was the serious, no nonsense cop, and the rest of the police force was the
Yeah,
goofs. So it's like I sort of compared that to
yeah.
that.
Overall, I think we both enjoyed it.
Yeah,
We look forward to some more. This one actually came out last year, apparently. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
2016.
I don't remember seeing it last year. And then I'm also looking at it. It said
No, it just
May 5th,
recently
2017 in the
hit last
UK.
month.
Yeah, so I don't know why it says 2016 on here. Because what I was going to get to
Yeah,
is that I want to see more from this guy, Julian Barat and Simon Farnaby. I want to
yeah.
see if they do any more writing for any other films and maybe check those
I
out.
hope they do.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff from these guys, these writers. Any last words, Lynn?
Go see it. It's worth a watch, and it's not like it's going to cost you anything if you have Netflix.
Yeah. All right, so you guys, thank you for joining us. Make sure you check us out tomorrow on the podcast. We're going to be doing a little later show tomorrow, but check that out. At the end of the week, we're going to have real news for all your movie info. I'm going to go over some D23 stuff. Not a ton of D23 stuff because there's a ton of news. It'd take me too long. But some of the big,
Well, you could just hit on there's
there,
key
yeah,
stuff
yeah. No, I'm gonna hit on the
I know
key
you're
stuff.
gonna
There's
touch
stuff
on.
that caught my attention.
Yeah.
But stay tuned for that as well. And then the week after, we'll be back to a solo movie, the week outing. So Lynn, could send us away.
All right. Make sure to catch us live if you can through Spreaker, if possible, because you can join us live through Spreaker if you go to the website. And be on the lookout because I have a little rant coming to you guys on the announcement of the 13th Doctor, which I know the guys aren't really going to be into, but I have my own little word of how I think certain fans are acting. So be sure to look out on that. That should be sometime tomorrow.
They're acting stupid.
Well, stupid is being nice. But yeah, like I said, Sean put it nicely. Join us in everything.
So yes, so thank you guys for Lynn and myself. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you